Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of June 23rd, 2022. My name is Vern Crow, and I'm the chairperson of the commission. The Planning Commission is a citizen body appointed by the City Council. The commission is empowered to make final decisions on certain matters, with those being appealable to City Council. On other matters, the commission acts in an advisory role to the council, with the council making the final decision. You will have an opportunity to address the commission during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Your testimony is appreciated and encouraged. The commission acts from a written agenda. You will need to fill out a yellow speaker card and give it to the city staff if you wish to speak on an item. Copies of the agenda and the speaker cards are located on the table just inside the main door to the council chambers. At this time, please be sure to silence your cell phones. There are 7 members appointed to the Planning Commission. At this time, I will ask the commissioners to introduce themselves and state the district they are representing, starting from my far right.
John Crow, Merrill District.
Tom Colbert.
Edwin Nyberg, Choinmoya.
Good evening, Martin Nowakowski, Yucca District.
And I am the chairperson, Vern Crow, and I represent Cactus. We have one vacant seat for Saguaro, and we have an excused absence for Ocotillo, Mr. Commissioner Gears. The Planning Commission receives staff assistance and guidance from the Planning Division and the City Attorney's Office. Tabitha Perry, would you please introduce the city staff who are present this evening?
Thank you, Chairperson Crow. Good evening, commissioners. To my left is Deputy City Attorney Jim Gruber. Across the dais is Lisa Wilson, Recording Secretary. There are 3 presentations this evening, one by Jocelyn Castaneda, a planner, and then the next 2 presentations would be by 2 senior planners, Alex Lama and Edward Vigil, and I am Tabitha Perry, Planning Manager.
Okay. Ms. Perry, are there any withdrawals or continuances this evening?
Commissioners, there's one continuance that is for CUP 22-03. That is for Imperator Gun Shop Home Occupation Type 2, and that will be continued to the next Planning Commission meeting scheduled for August the 23rd.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Thank you. Now, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on the item that was continued, which is CUP 22-03? Okay, thank you.
Chairperson Crow, Commissioner, just a correction for that because it's important. It's being continued to the Planning Commission meeting scheduled for August the 25th.
Thank you.
Just for correction.
Thank you. Now on to the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the May 26th, 2022 Planning Commission regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 26, 2022 Planning Commission regular meeting as written. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties an opportunity to present testimony for the commissioner's consideration. We will follow the same procedures for each of the items, and that will be, I will call the application number and the name of the applicant. Staff will present their report and answer questions from the commission. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Other persons who wish to testify will be asked to do so and answer questions from the commission. The applicant will have an opportunity for closing comments. Staff will be asked for a final comment on the application and procedural guidance. I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion prior to any further discussion by the commissioners. You will need to state your name and address for the record if you wish to speak on an item. Please be brief and to the point and avoid repetition. I reserve the right to limit the length of your testimony, and tonight we will be at 5 minutes. All exhibits shown to the commission become part of the permanent record and must be submitted for the file. Large groups should designate a spokesperson. Applause and other disruptions which delay the hearing will not be tolerated. We have 3 public hearing items this evening. So our first agenda item would be CUP 21-13. And Ms. Castaneda?
Good afternoon. Chairperson Crow, Planning Commissioners, my name is Jocelyn Castaneda. I am the Planning Project Manager for the conditional use permit application that you'll see before you. This is for a Taco Bell restaurant, application number CUP 21-13. Today's request is for the approval of a conditional use permit for a drive-through restaurant in the C3 Heavy Commercial Zoning District. The applicant is Ms. Carissa Pankratz, who is representing the owner, Hula Pie Investments Incorporated. The following is the vicinity map showing the location. It is located on the northwest corner of 43rd Avenue in Glendale. It is located approximately 2 miles east of City Hall. The following is the aerial map showing the existing conditions of the area. The L-shaped property is the site. The current Taco Bell that is adjacent will be relocated to this site is located west of this property. To the north, there is an existing self-storage facility. To the east is a KFC restaurant, and to the south is a Lee's Auto Specialist store. As you can see, the zoning of the property is C3. The properties to the south across Glendale Avenue are zone C3 as well. The property to the east and northeast are C3. The small C2 property to the north, and there is a C2 property to the west, and there's also an R4 property located to the northwest of this site. The following is a street view of the existing site conditions of the property. There is a building located in the rear. This is a formerly used nightclub, and this will be demolished in order to develop the proposed 2,000 square foot Taco Bell restaurant. The site will include the existing site conditions that you see before you, which include the existing driveway onto Glendale Avenue. The following is the site plan that was included as part of the application, but I'll actually go ahead and refer to the next slide, which includes the landscaping plan, just so that this is also visible and you can see how the site will be laid out. So the main access to the site will be located south from Glendale. This will continue on north, in which the driveway will be accessed north of the site, in which the driveway you will be able to turn left. There is a 10 vehicle stacking as shown on the landscaping plan. The following are submitted conceptual elevations from the applicant. The right side elevation on the top shows the main entrance from the east side of the property. And the bottom is the front elevation that will be visible from Glendale Avenue. The applicant has met all of their public involvement. Notification letters were sent out on September 29th. During the notification period, neither staff or the applicant received any correspondence from those notified, and until now, no comments have been received. The following are the findings for the conditional use permit that are set in section 3.904 in the zoning ordinance. The following is the analysis. The proposed use is consistent with the general plan designation of general commercial, and the use is a use that is generally permitted within the zoning district C3 heavy commercial, which is still subject to conditional use permit. Sorry. So the use is consistent with the uses that have been existing. It is similar to the development that you do see currently within Glendale Avenue. This will not be detrimental. As mentioned before, it is consistent. The dual drive-through, as well as the proposed 10-vehicle stacking requirements, or the 10-vehicle stacking, will be able to accommodate the traffic for this proposed use. There is adequate access for the property along this major arterial, which is located along a major intersection, with the application of the existing driveway as this main access. There is no significant impact to the existing off-site traffic, and the on-site traffic is adequately planned, as no additional modifications were required by staff. After much review from city staff, this proposal is compliant with the C3 development standards and requirements for the proposed use. The following is recommendation. So the planning staff recommends the approval of CUP 21-13, subject to the following stipulation. Development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plan dated May 16, 2022, and the project narrative dated October 29, 2021. This concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, anything for Ms. Castaneda? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Carissa Pankratz with GLMV Architecture, representing Halapaya Investments. I did not prepare a presentation, as I feel that the staff presented very well on our behalf, and so we just wanted to thank you for your time. One item that we did not include in our site plan is a monument sign that will be located in a landscape bed adjacent to the street. So I think that's all I have, if you don't have any questions for me.
Commissioners? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Ms. Pankratz. Appreciate your time. The existing Taco Bell, I noted in your packet, I believe, that the note said the adjacent Taco Bell will be de-imaged upon occupancy, so the branding will all be taken off. So that building will not be demolished. The old nightclub's being demolished. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct. So Halapaya is currently leasing the adjacent property, and so we'll remove our Taco Bell imaging. Ideally, we're maintaining that store being open, and then once the new Taco Bell is open, everything will transfer.
Okay, so you answered my next question. Wallapai does not own the existing building.
That is my understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Commissioners, anything else? Thank you. I haven't received any speaker cards. Ms. Castaneda, is there any final comments before we move on?
Sorry, said a little too far. No final comments.
Thank you. Okay, the public hearing for case number CUP 21-13 is now closed. Gentlemen, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Chair McCole?
I would move to approve CUP 21-13 per the findings and subject to the stipulation contained in the staff report.
Support.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or further discussions regarding case number CUP 21-13? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number CUP 21-13, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Case number CUP-13 has been recommended for approval, subject to stipulations as outlined by the staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your action with respect to case number CUP 21-13 is final, subject to a written appeal received within 15 days.
Thank you, sir. Our next agenda item is case number ZON 21-24, and the presenter will be Mr. Lerma.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Am I going down?
This one is yours, right? Yeah. Okay. You know how to get from here?
Just go back, just go up and down.
Yeah.
Okay. From here.
Okay.
All right, let's try that again. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Before you, you have an application by Matt Talbon on behalf of Shea Homes. He is asking to rezone a 120-acre property from the existing R16 to R16 PRD for development that would allow for 425 single-family residential subdivision of various lot sizes. Here's just a reference map showing City Hall in relation to the project site. The project site is located on the southwest and southeast corner of 75th Avenue and Northern Avenue. It's approximately 2.2 miles northwest of City Hall. Here's a project site, just a note on the site aerial. The portion of the site that's in the southwest corner of Northern Avenue and 75th Avenue is approximately 74 acres. This area is currently still within the county, but there's a concurrent process for this property to be annexed in. By the time it gets to City Hall, it's going to have a concurrent application for the zoning case and the annexation adoption. So just a reference on that. That portion of the property is within the Yucca district. The southeast portion of the property, southeast corner of 75th Avenue and Northern Avenue, is within the municipal limits. That is within the Ocotillo district. Just a few notes on this site plan as well. The properties to the north are within the city of Peoria. Northern Avenue is our municipal limits. The uses within this area are going to be residential lots, agriculture uses, and the power generation station. To the east, you'll see agriculture uses, industrial, and an industrial business park. To the south, you'll see large residential, agriculture, industrial, large residential lots, agriculture, and industrial business park as well. And to the west, you'll see agriculture and future residents. Here's the zoning map. Again, property, the portion that's to the west is currently within the county. The county zoning on that is going to be R16, as well as the property that's already within the municipal limits. That is also has a zoning classification of R16. Here is a map just showing the subject property as well as the property to the north, that's within the city of Peoria. The subject property is a part of a master development community or master development project that encompasses 465 acres that with uses such as residential, mixed use, industrial, and employment uses. The portion that's within the city limits is going to be strictly for residential uses. Here's a development plan of the project. The different shades of the different colors represent the different lot sizes. There's some indicators here, as you'll see on the main axis on 79th Avenue. It was labeled as 79th Avenue. It's labeled as axis A. Along 75th Avenue, on both sides of 75th Avenue, axis B and axis C, and on 73rd Avenue is axis D. These labels are in reference to when we get to the stipulations, based on the fact that the subdivision currently doesn't have names to the streets. The different access points are going to be labeled by the letters. As you see here, again, the project is proposing a variety of different lot sizes, and again, they're going to be defined by the different colors. The main axis on this development is going to be developed in two phases. The southwest corner is going to be phase 1, which is going to be offering the larger amount of the lots within the subdivision, and phase 2 is going to be on the southeast corner. On phase 1, the main axis is going to be on Northern Avenue, and the secondary axis is going to be along 75th Avenue. For phase 2, on the southeast corner, the main axis is going to be along the 75th Avenue axis, which is identified as axis C, and secondary axis on what is identified as axis D. Here's just a project data table indicating all the different lots. The development is offering, again, 425 lots within the development. The lot sizes are going to range from 40 feet by 120, 45 feet by 120, 50 feet by 120, and 60 feet by 120. The lot sizes are going to range from 4,800 square feet to 7,200 square feet, with an average lot size of 5,690 square feet. Within the PRD, the developer is proposing to modify some of the development standards of the R16 zoning district. Here's a comparison of the development standards within the typical R16 zoning district and those that the applicant is proposing. Some things right here that the commission should keep in mind. Based on the proposal of the developer, they're modifying The R16 PRD is going to modify the lot sizes. It's going to reduce the minimum lot width, and is going to extend the lot depth. So they're going to be a little bit narrower, but deeper as well. Also, a comparison between what is included within your staff report and what is shown on the slide right here. There is a typo if you see on the front yard setback. The proposal, what they're proposing is going to be 10 feet to the garage and 18 feet to the livable area. I think in your staff report it said 28. So basically what they're doing is they're trying to push the residents further to the street, a little bit further to the street. This is the open space map, just indicating on the red asterisk is going to indicate the primary amenities where they're going to be located, and then with a light bluish, the secondary amenities. Approximately 25 acres are going to be dedicated to active and passive open space. 75% of those 25 acres are going to be dedicated to usable open space, which will include open areas for games and activities, both for the residents and for their pets. There's going to be, within the asterisk, there's going to be a community pool. There'll be multiple amount of shaded areas, sitting areas, cooking areas throughout the development. The applicant has completed their citizens process. Here indicated the different dates that they've met. The neighborhood meeting was conducted last year. There was 19 attendees that attended. The applicant continues communications with the residents that attended that meeting and brought up some questions that they had. So staff is still, not staff, but that developer is continuing to work with them and answer their questions. One last thing to talk about this slide. Both staff and the applicant received a late email from somebody that was in opposition of the proposal. Some of the information he provided, I believe, was misinformation that he had. He indicated with his email that he was against tiny homes. The developer isn't proposing tiny homes. These are not pre-manufactured homes. These are going to be site-built homes. And he was against them proposing 6 to 8 units per the acre. The developer is not proposing 6 to 8 units per the acre. He's proposing 3.5 units to the acre. That both staff and the applicant reached out to him both by phone and email, and that resident did not respond back. The development is consistent with the medium density residential up to 5 units per the acre and general plan designation. The PRD narrative indicates both the guidelines, development or design guidelines and development standards that are going to be the framework for this development. The development is consistent with the surrounding area and the surrounding uses within this area. It is proposing lot sizes that are similar to a residential development that was currently presented or that has been recently presented to the Planning Commission, specifically Ambra PRD, which is to the west of this development, and Alto PRD, which is further south of this development. The development is gonna meet the intent of the Residential Design and Development Manual, which is what staff uses as a design guide for when the house product comes in, for the lot layouts and the building layouts, the access points. So that's going to be, the development again is going to be consistent and is going to meet the intent of the development manual. Again, the PRD is proposing a variety of lot sizes. The development will be located within a major intersection. There's going to be 75th Avenue and Northern Avenue. Again, the developer is going to be proposing a substantial amount of amenities and open space areas spread out throughout the development. Again, there's the main attraction is going to be the pool area, the outdoor cooking areas, the ramadas, and the various activities that are going to be dedicated to each turf area. Again, the overall gross density is going to be 3.5 units per the acre. That is going to be less than what the PRD proposes for R16. The R16 PRD allows for up to 5 units to the acre. They're going to be below this density. Again, the developer is, or the development site is going to be proposing 25 acres of open space area, which exceeds the requirement. The requirement is going to be 15% of the overall site, and they're actually proposing 21% of the overall site. On-site traffic is adequate for the planned area. The TIA was included within the Commission's staff report with approval from the Transportation Department. All applicable departments have reviewed this submittal and have recommended approval. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to City Council of zoning case 21-24, subject to the following stipulations. Stipulation number 1, development shall be in substantial conformance to the PRD booklet titled Legacy Place, date stamped May 23rd, 2020. Stipulation number 2, dedicated right turn lane shall be constructed on 75th Avenue for southbound traffic at axis B and northbound traffic on axis C, 690 feet south of Northern Avenue intersection. Stipulation number 3, a right turn lane shall be installed on Friar Drive for westbound traffic. Stipulation number 4, required dedicated right turn lane on 75th Avenue and Northern Avenue to be constructed during phase 2 of development and shall be in accordance with City of Glendale engineering design and construction standards. And stipulation number 5, due to the connectivity provided between 2 arterial roads, traffic calming devices shall be required on phase 2 collector roadways. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation. I'm open for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lerma? Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. I appreciate staff's work on this and the reference to the RDDM and in meeting the intent. There are quite a few requests to change or to stand down on RDDM standards, if that's the right term. Maybe it's for the applicant, but I just don't understand reading this, how parking's gonna work. Is that
how parking is gonna work?
Right, because the nodules, the parking arrangements based on the design manual calls out for dedicated areas, wider areas for parking, and the applicant's requesting that not be a stipulation or a requirement. And they say that on-street and on-site parking are going to be adequate. And I'm trying to conceptualize that in my head.
For, and talking in general terms, the city in general doesn't allow on-site parking per the requirements, parking requirements for single-family residence. Each residential unit is required to provide at least 2 parkings, one of them being covered. The applicant is not deviating from the standard. Every single-family residential lot within this development is going to have adequate parking per lot, either through the garage or through the driveway.
And forgive me, perhaps I just misunderstood, but it looked to me like under 1.3, under the applicant's presentation, that there is a requirement to install parking nodes throughout a neighborhood to ensure that residents are not impacted by excessive on-street parking. and they're asking to not have to do the parking nodes. And so I was just trying, in these planned communities, on-street parking is a huge challenge. Having at one point in my life lived in one, and I just noticed that's the design guide has that that requirement in there for that extra parking areas in the community, and they're asking to not have that applied to them, that standard to be deleted. And so maybe the applicant can shed further light on how they're going to.
I'll ask the applicant to share more on that.
Thank you. This is a complicated project with multiple jurisdictions, obviously annexation action in there somewhere. Do we know how it's tracking in Peoria, or is that relevant?
Again, I'm not sure what the process is or where they're at with the development for the north portion of it within Peoria. We did include them within the review process. City of Peoria did not respond back to the PRD request. But again, I'll ask the applicant to probably provide you more information on that.
Thank you. I appreciate your help.
Commissioners, anything else for Mr. Lerma? Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Good evening. My name is Paul Gilbert, 701 North 44th Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. With me this evening is Matt Telban with Shay and Cindy Paddock with our engineering firm. In light of what I consider to be a very strong staff report, I think I've learned enough over the years not to try to supplement it. Enough's been said. This is a very good project. And let me just give you a bit of background. This property consists of 466 acres. It was in Peoria, in the county, and in Glendale. And this property has been a challenge. Peoria and Glendale have been both knocking on the Rovey family doors for some time to get this property annexed. Frankly, a lot of developers were knocking on the Rovey family doors too. And I'm not trying to engage in adulation in favor of my client Shea Holmes, but they did one nice job of putting this piece together, and many tried and weren't able to bring it to fruition, but we have. So it's a combination of annexing from the county and also developing the plan in Peoria. Let me give you a report. The plan is completely approved and zoned in Peoria. We started out about the same time. We were a little slower getting the Glendale part done, but Peoria is done and finished, and it's a congruent master plan that the two parcels are integrated and work together back and forth. We have spent considerable time with your staff. Frankly, we thought what we originally presented was pretty good stuff, pardon our lack of, or our hubris here, but Tabitha and Alex beat us up some more. So we agreed, and we have added some additional size lots that were not there before. But basically, this property, both the county and Glendale, and for that matter, mostly in Peoria, except for the industrial portion, were the equivalent of R16. That's basically what we're proposing. Our overall average density at 3.5 is below what we could achieve at the full R16 density. So I think our density is well in line with your standards of the city. It's consistent with what we've done in Peoria. And again, the two plans mesh very well together, and we're very excited about this. I've got to tell you, you've caught us a little bit by surprise, Commissioner Cole, with your question on the parking. I just pulled the narrative on that and I have the section I think you were referring to, but basically, under justification, we say on-street parking and lot parking will be provided. So we are complying 100% with the Glendale code. So we're not asking for any deviations from the code. So with that, we think we've met your standard, and this staff report's very strong. Basically, it concluded that we met the MDR standards for this piece, and that would include the parking. So we believe we're very satisfied with it. Again, pardon the hubris, but Shea Homes, this isn't for first rodeo, and they've developed a lot of property throughout the valley, and this master plan has been carefully and meticulously reviewed with our staff and with the Shea people, and we're very proud of it and very happy with it, how it's turned out. So for someone that's paid by the word, this is pretty good for me to be so short, Mr. Chairman, but I think that concludes my presentation.
Commissioner Cole, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm satisfied, thank you.
Okay, surely.
Anything else for Mr. Gilbert? Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
My pleasure.
Okay, I don't have any further speaker cards on this issue. Mr. Lerma, any further comments, Mr. Lerma?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, no more comments.
Thank you, sir. The public hearing for case number ZON 21-24 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Chairman, I motion to approve ZON 21-24, subject to the staff stipulated report.
Do I hear a second?
Support.
Are there any further comments or discussions regarding case number ZON 21-24?
Citizen comment.
It's too late. We've already closed the public hearing. I'm sorry. And the further comments is...
Chair,
Yes.
can we just ask that, did we ask for public comments?
Chair, members of the commission, I caught you saying that the public comment was closed. You have the discretion to reopen it, though,
Oh, I do.
if there are people that wish
Well,
to.
then I'll do that. So, commissioners, we will open the public hearing back up.
Great.
Now, can you fill out a speaker card, please, sir? Oh, okay, they're right back on that table there. Thanks, Mr. Gruber.
I'm Steve Ogle at 7835 West Northern Avenue. It's that little cutout that's in all the maps, but all the maps I've looked at and everything I've seen, and starting with Parkway Development on Northern, my property was going to have a big high wall in front of it for the Parkway Development, and they told me then that I was going to have access for Peoria. And now they're building a wall along my property on the west side. So now I'm going to have a wall on the south side. So I just have seen no maps or anything showing me access to my house.
I think Mr. Lerma could probably provide you with those maps. If you want to get with him after the meeting, I'm sure he could give them to you.
Who's this?
Mr. Lerma?
Oh, okay. All right,
All
thank you.
right, you're very welcome. Anyone else? Okay, I will again, the public hearing for case number ZON 21-24 is now closed. I already have a motion and a second. And commissioners, any further comments? Okay, hearing none. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case ZON 21-24, subject to stipulations as outlined by the staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 21-24 has been recommended for approval, subject to stipulations as outlined by the staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and members of the commission, your action with respect to ZON 21-24 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Okay, our next agenda item is case number ZON 22-04. Mr. Vigil.
This is not the...
Oh, no, this should be go right here.
This one? Yeah, okay, perfect. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and planning commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting a zoning application 22-04 for the Thompson Thrift PAD amendment. So this request is to amend the existing PAD to modify the building height, to reduce the number of parking spaces required for the self-storage use, and to reduce the landscape setbacks. And the Thompson Thrift site is approximately 24 acres in size. Thompson Thrift, the site is located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue, and it's approximately about 6 miles north and east of City Hall. So before you is the zoning map. This is the PAD for the Thompson Thrift site. That PAD that was originally approved includes the C2 uses, which is general commercial, and the R4, which is multiple residence. This is an area of the existing site showing some of the existing and surrounding development. To the north, you have the Park West mixed-use commercial and multifamily area, and then to the south is the City of Glendale property. To the east is Maricopa County, RU43, existing agricultural land that's undeveloped. And to the west, you have a PAD through City of Glendale. So this is the conceptual site plan that we received with the zoning application and with this PAD amendment. It shows the conceptual layout of how it will be developed once all end users are in place. So the actual request to amend the original PAD is asking to increase the building height from 30 feet to 60 feet in the commercial section only. And in that commercial section is the top north section of this site plan that includes parcels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then the second request is to reduce the number of parking spaces from the required 63 parking spaces to 27 parking spaces for the self-storage land use. And the last request is to reduce the landscape setback from 20 feet to 10 feet along the commercial property line between parcels 1 through 7 and parcel 8, and then also along 99th Avenue from 20 feet to 10 feet as well. So both the city and the applicant have met all of the citizen participation process and notification process. And so with the staff finds that the applicant has met all of the findings for a rezoning application to amend the PAD, and staff's analysis is that, number one, that the infrastructure of the site has been reviewed and approved with the original zoning case, and this request to amend the original PAD is not having an impact on that original approval. Also, the proposed changes to the PAD are the minimum necessary to accommodate the multifamily, the self-storage, and the hotel end users. And also, this mixed-use project supports the growth and development recommendations of the entertainment mixed-use general plan designation. And all departments have reviewed and approved both the original application and this zoning amendment application to the PAD. And lastly, a traffic study was not required for this PAD since the original traffic study was already reviewed thoroughly and approved through zoning case 2118. And Transportation Department felt that the requested changes would not have any impact on the original traffic study approval. And with that, that concludes my presentation. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Oh, actually, I take that back. I forgot the last and the most important part. Should the Planning Commission motion to recommend approval of zoning case 22-04, it should be subject to the following stipulations. And the first stipulation is that the development shall be in substantial conformance to the revised PAD dated June 3rd, 2022. And the second stipulation is that the development should comply with the original zoning stipulations that were approved with the zoning case 21-18 and ordinance number 021-76. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Gentlemen? Mr. Vigil, thank you.
Thank you.
Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Wendy Riddell with the law firm Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback. If you have a little bit of deja vu, so do I, because we were just here doing this. We're obviously back in front of you with a few refinements as we've had some of the users come forward for things, for example, a hotel, wanting some additional height for a hotel, looking to reduce the parking for a storage use, and a little bit of refinement on our site plan with the landscaping. So unless you have specific questions or want a detailed presentation, which I can't quite imagine, I'm happy just to answer questions that you have.
Commissioners, you're off the hook.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, I do not have any speaker cards, but just to make sure, is anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Okay. Mr. Vigil, any final comments?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. No final comments.
Thank you, sir. The public hearing for case number ZON 22-04 is now closed. Do I hear a motion? Gentlemen?
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend approval of ZON 22-04, subject to the stipulations contained in the staff report.
Do I have a second? Second. Are there any further comments or discussions regarding case number ZON 22-04 by the commissioners? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 22-04, subject to the stipulations as outlined in the staff report. I will conduct a roll call vote. Starting from my far right, Commissioner Crow.
Aye.
Commissioner Cole.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Case number ZON 22-04 has been recommended for approval subject to the stipulations outlined by the staff report. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your action with respect to ZON 22-04 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Ms. Perry, is there any other business this evening?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. Commissioners, as you are aware, planning staff has been in the process of doing a rewrite on the current 1993 zoning ordinance. We're at a point now that we're ready to proceed forward with the next step of this process, which is considered to be the public involvement phase. With that, this evening before you is a hard copy of the now defined as the Unified Development Code, which will replace the zoning ordinance for your review, that the Planning Commission will be in recess for the month of July. So staff figure you for your relaxation, that you will have an opportunity to read over the documentation, and then hopefully we'll be able to come back before you with a workshop so that the consultant and staff will be able to answer any questions that you may have in regards to the final draft of the proposed document. With that being said, coming this Monday on June the 27th at 5 o'clock, this document will go live, so stakeholders, the general public, can start reviewing the document as well during the month of July. Tentatively, we have not put a schedule together, but we are under the impression that perhaps during the month of August, we'll start having some public meetings to receive additional feedback from the general public and stakeholders, followed by a workshop with the Planning Commission, once again, to answer any questions that you may have, and then also a workshop with the City Council for additional questions that they may have of staff and the consultant. Depending on the timeline for us to complete this public involvement process, we will define the future dates for public hearings before Planning Commission for a recommendation, and then City Council for a final action.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Commissioners, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to comment that I appreciate staff providing us this in advance like this instead of walking into the workshop and getting it at that point. At least it gives us a chance to warm up to it a little, and it's appreciated.
And in that regard, the yellow highlights and the green highlights sure makes it a lot easier for us to try to track what our changes are and what we need to focus on the most. So thank you for that. Ms. Perry, are there any other planning staff reports?
Yes, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. You know, as you're aware, the fiscal year is from July 2021 till June 2022. Staff just want to say thank you to the Commission for your dedication and volunteering to be committed in the growth of the City of Glendale. Just to give reference, it may not seem as though it is as many applications as it may feel when you're here hearing the presentations. But during this fiscal year, Planning Commission was presented with 14 conditional use permit applications. And relative to rezoning applications, the Planning Commission gave a recommendation on 26 applications. And on the general plan amendments, the Planning Commission gave a recommendation of 9. And as the Commission is aware, some of those applications was a little complicated and involves a lot of participation. So we wanted to recognize you guys during this fiscal year and say thank you once again for your service. We truly appreciate it. And since you would not be with us during the month of July, we look forward to meeting with you again in August.
Thank you. And I know, just a quick comment about Lisa. She stepped into some shoes there, and she's done a magnificent job, and I really appreciate all of her efforts. Thank you very much. You've helped me a lot. And thank you, Ms. Perry, for everything that you do. Commissioners, any comments? Okay, the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held on August 25th, 2022 at 6 p.m. If there's no further business, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned.